Hi peeps, welcome to another Mystery Monday. Today, I gamble. Hi guys, today I'm gambling, but I'm not taking one gamble, I'm taking two. Why? Because we live in the world of instant satisfaction, so I need to know if one of my gambles will pay off right away. So the first gamble I'm taking is recording outside. I spend a lot of my mornings before it gets too hot if it's not raining out here. This is like my summer reading nook, and I don't know, I just love the summer sounds outside, from the breeze to the birds, even the cars. Let me know down below if the background noise is too distracting. I won't do it anymore. So at least this is a gamble I'm taking. And if it is too distracting, I apologize. I'll try to make this video as fast as possible. I even did a script for that purpose, but you know how my rambling goes. Anyway, a few videos ago, I let you know that I was thinking of this idea and I didn't know if I wanted to go through with it or not. And I'm really excited to do it. It just gave me something to do and research. And like I said, it is a gamble, but unfortunately, I won't know if it pays off until November. What is a gamble, you said? Well, every year, as you know, and I know most of you are my friends on Goodreads, so you know of the Goodreads Choice Awards. For those of you who don't know what it is award given yearly to books and their authors. There are 20 categories, and for each of those categories, Goodreads nominates 15 books. Those books are not chosen at random. They are books that have been published in English in the United States within a time window, which usually goes from mid-November one year to mid-November the next. So let's say the books in here will be, I believe, from the 16th or the 18th of November 2020, released until early November 2021. Out of those books, Goodreads does a statistical analysis of how many books within that eligible period have been shelved, rated, and read. And other than that, then the readers will choose their own, and I think there's 2 or 3 rounds. Okay, so why am I telling you guys about the Good Readers' Choice Awards? Well, there's 4 months left until nominees are reviewed, and I like gambles, so I decided to make a prediction. And I think, like I mentioned you this earlier, but I'm doing it now. I still have time because numbers are not quite what it seems. So it's more like really like a gamble than an educated guess, because I mean, I'm not good enough to do an educated guess, but I can always hope, right? So I'll have a dedicated video for mystery and thrillers. Today's video is dedicated to my horror predictions, and the last video in my 3-part series, if you may, is miscellaneous, with some categories that I don't really read a lot of, but I have a strong feeling that at least some of the books I'll mention will be nominated in their respective categories. So other than thriller and horror, we have science fiction, humor, nonfiction, memoir and autobiography, history and biography, science and technology, food and cookbooks, graphic novel and comics, poetry, debut novel, middle grade, and children's. I'm not really going to make a list for debut novels, but I'll point out what books are debut novels, so they can either be on the list I think they'll be in or in the other one. And it's my game, my rules. I'll still count them. And my miscellaneous videos will have some videos from the following categories: fiction, historical fiction, fantasy, romance, young adult fiction, young adult fantasy and science fiction, as well as picture books, because I'm very passionate about books for children as well. So without further ado, let's talk about my predictions for horror, shall we? Why do I do this to myself? I wish I was an actress. because then I could do a script, memorize it, and tell it to you because I'm always doing. So what I'll do, and I think the hardest one for me has been thriller and mysteries, only because the books that I want to be nominated might not be nominated, and there are some books that I don't even feel like reading that I think will make the list, so it'll be a longer video. But for this one as well, I have some books on the list that I'm just guessing based on, the story and the appeal that will be nominated, even though those are books that I haven't read or don't really enjoy. And then will the ones that I'm like cheering to be on, and I'll let you know which is which. In horror, I don't have any debut novels. All the authors in my list have been published before. Now, for real, let's get to it. For some of them, just to make this video short, I might read. First on my list, we have Later by Stephen King. Stephen King is always nominated. He has like a huge following. I swear to God, the guy sold his soul to the devil. He should write a meta novel about that, and But anyway, his following is very loyal. Most of the times, when he releases a full novel, not an anthology, he is nominated for whatever category, whatever genre his book is from, and he typically wins. So, may Later win? It might. Would it be my pick? No. But for someone who doesn't really like Stephen King, I actually enjoyed most of this book. So I think it is a book that has appeals for fans and non-fans. And most of what I consider to be his problematic narrative is very subdued in this book, so that's always a good thing, and maybe that's why I enjoyed it. But anyway, in Later we meet James, a child of a single mother who has the unnatural ability to see ghosts. And he sees the ghosts as they die. And in this mythology, ghosts don't lie. They are obliged to always tell the truth. With that in mind, his mom urges him to keep it a secret, but when it can benefit her, she has no problems killing his innocence by using him to communicate with mature people, and get by life with what he can find out. As the book progresses, James, who's a child, will find out the true cause of his ability when he helps the police pursue a dead killer. Later. Next, I have My Heart is a Chainsaw by Stephen Graham Jones. In it, we follow Jade, a senior high school graduate, struggling to find her place in the world, accept the lack of prospects, and feel upset about her beloved hometown's gentrification. To cope with the way her life is, she narrates her life, really, as if it's a slasher movie, but before you know it, she is convinced that something really bad is about to happen in town. So she's determined to find and train the final girl to save her town from what she believes is going to be a slash fest. In a nutshell, this is My Heart is a Chainsaw. If you want to hear more about any of these books, just let me know down below, and I can always make a dedicated video after I read the book, at least for the ones I plan to read. So, Later has been released. My Heart is a Chainsaw will be released in August. Next, released in October, we have Gecko by Rachel Harrison. I mentioned it before, but in it, we have Annie, who is a good girl, and she's blindsided by this horrible, horrible breakup. And she decides to just leave everything behind. However, good girls habits die hard. So before she leaves Manhattan and her home behind, she, of course, finds a job and rents an apartment. Her apartment is to die for, despite the spider infestation. And this job that she gets is as a teacher in an academy in this very upstate, pleasant, quaint, small town. When she gets there, she loves everything about the town, from the people to the atmosphere. And then she meets Sophie, this magnetic woman that takes her under her wing and just wants to empower our girl Annie to be her best self. They become friends, and that's a bonus because she would not expect to make a new best friend. But then, when the Pinko goggles fade a little bit, she starts to notice that the townsfolk seem to be afraid of Sophie. Okay, and then she noticed how ageless beautiful Sophie is. And she does live in a mansion that is in the middle of the woods. She can't be a... Could she? That's Keko, and I'm so looking forward for it. It seems like it's gonna be like delightful, witty, funny, and dark. And who doesn't like a witch? I know I do. Next, coming up in August, I have All's Well by Mona Wood. She's the author of Bunny, so I can count on wit and dark humor in this book. And for me, the synopsis just sounds way better than Bunny, and I have high hopes, and I have that day marked on my calendar. So in it, we meet Miranda, whose life has seen better days. The old adage is true. It's really pouring for Miranda. Poor thing. Her acting career is gone with the wind. Her marriage is done. She has an excruciating back pain that is definitely here to stay, as is the resulting painkiller addiction. The only thing she has left is her job. She is a theater director for a local college. But will she keep it though? And she puts all her hopes on the production of Shakespeare's All's Well That Ends Well. Here's the thing. Her cast doesn't like it, so they gang up on her and try to force her into producing Macbeth instead. Only they don't really know what they've done because all of a sudden, love all, trust a few, do wrong to no one. Also is followed by it will have blood, they say. Blood will have blood. Three mysterious benefactors show up in Miranda's life seeming to know everything about her and promising to give her what she wants the most. A world in which she gets her play, her students get her dues. Her pain is not only gone, but everybody that didn't believe she actually had it learns the hard cold truth. Seems like things might end well for Miranda after all. Or will something wicked this way come? I'm so excited for this book. It's not even funny. Another book that has already been released is The Drowning Kind by Jennifer McMahon. I really love her narrative. She is so poetically scary that, I don't know, it would be a shame if her book is not on this list. In The Drowning Kind tells us the story of four women, sisters in current time, and a mother-daughter duo in the early 1900s. The present narrative starts with the ex-sisters, Jax and Lexi. Lexi's mental health is fragile and she suffers from manic episodes. Needing a break from the emotional strain of having to deal with her sister's mental state, Jax avoided contact for over a year. Out of the blue, Lexi is calling her left and right, but Jax is not ready for this, so she ignores all her calls. Finally, when she's just ready to, reconnect, she learns that the day that Lexi was making all the calls, she died. Not only died, she drowned. And this is really weird because her sister used to have what Jax considered to be delusions about the state's pool, which is a natural pool that they inherited with the state. And Jax is considering that maybe there's some truth to that after all, because despite everything, she doesn't think her sister would be necessarily the suicidal kind. So she goes back home to get to the bottom of this. And as she investigates the history of the pool, we get to the past timeline, which is in 1929. We follow Ethel's journey as she does everything she can to have a child. Her journey takes us to the origins of the magical spring and its folklore. So it is a sad novel. It's a novel that has some content warning, especially for laws, but is also very beautiful and interesting. And I think I didn't sell that one really well, but trust me, it should be on the list. Next one is one that even if I knew nothing about, I knew it would be on this list because it has to. It comes out on the 13th of July, so next week. Ooh, so exciting. It's the Final Girl support group by Grady Hendrix. I talked about it in a previous video. So in a nutshell, we have Final Girl Lynette, who's part of a support group for Final Girls. And then all of a sudden, they start dying one by one. Is there going to be a final girl, or are they going to get to the killer before it gets to them? And sorry if that was too short, but I talked about this before. Next, my next two books are by the same author. I haven't read from her yet, but I really, really want to. The first book, Near the Bone, has been released, and Horseman: A Tale of Sleepy Hollow is about to be released, and they are both by Christina Henry. And I do think that both of them will make to the list, actually. Near the Bone is one of my most anticipated books. I haven't read it yet, but I really want to. And in it, we follow Maddie. She lives in this isolated cabin with William, someone that she's very careful not to scare. And is it the ideal life? No. But she's used to it. There was no one around. That is, until one day they find a slashed up fox. Okay, following the fox, they start hearing these weird cries at night, and she goes like, no, seriously, there is something out there, and that something is scary, and it probably has very sharp teeth and claws, and I don't want to know what it is. I just want to be alone again. Alone they are not, because soon three strange men, well, I'm assuming they are men, but it just says three strangers, show up near their idyllic, isolated mountaintop looking for that creature. Here's the problem though. Maddie knows that the presence of these three men really are gonna upset William. And when William gets angry, horrible things happen. I mean, if that doesn't sound like a good book, I don't know what does. I can't wait to get my hands on it. Next, we have Horseman: A Tale of Sleepy Hollow. This is one that I'm not sure if I will read right away. Maybe I'll read it next year. There are other retellings of fairy tales that I'm more interested in by Christina Henry and want to read them before. But this one, as the title suggests, it is reimagining of Sleepy Hollow. But in it, we are in the town of Sleepy Hollow 20 years after the events that supposedly led to Crane leaving the town. But in this version of Sleepy Hollow, the inhabitants just dismiss everything that happened. They just think it's idle gossip, that there was no horseman. Crane just left out of his personal reasons. And everybody believes that, including Ben's grandfather, who was in the town when the events are allegedly supposed to occur. Okay, but one of Ben's favorite pastime, and he's a 14-year-old boy, is to go into the woods and play Sleepy Hollow Boys. He just likes to go in there and pretend he's being chased by the horsemen and all that, until one day him and his friend actually find the hellish body of a child. Could the horseman be real after all, or is there something much scarier looming in the woods? It kind of sounds good, but I think it's because Sleepy Hollow is not one of my favorite tales or stories, so I'll read it eventually. But I think it sounds good enough that a lot of people will love it. Next, we have The Whispering Dead by Darcy Coates. And that will also be released soon. In it, we follow Kira, a runaway girl chased and seeking shelter from a storm when she stumbles upon an abandoned groundskeeper cottage. No one seems to live about there. All her neighbors are just gravestones, so she makes her home there, and She thinks she can hide in there for a while and actually relax for a change. But then all of a sudden, she starts hearing the dead whisper. Not only that, she starts seeing spectra all around her. And the leader of the spectra is this woman that seems that gung-ho on really kicking Kira out of there. Kira is not ready to leave because, she's finally not on the run for a little, for a change. And also, she seems to be a really good girl. And she decides that she will do whatever it takes to make this mysterious dead lady find her peace. So she sets on a journey of finding out who she is, what happened to her, and what she needs to do to help her move on. I think that's the proper term. But unfortunately, digging into this woman's past, it's more time consuming than Kira anticipated, and time is really a luxury that she does not have. She just hopes she can free this woman's spirit before it's time for her to run away. Next, we have Goddess of Filth by V. Castro. I have this book. I will get to it very soon. I believe that the majority of 90s girls or even early 2000s have watched The Craft and low-key wish they could have powers. Right? Yes. But here's the thing. While some of us may have wished, we have 5 friends: Lourdes, Fernanda, Ana, Perla, and Pauline. They don't stop at low-key. Why? It's a hot summer night. Do they have anything better to do? Hell no. So they make a circle, they light some candles, they decide to, summon their powers. Only before they know it, that, fun turns into a nightmare and the candles just go up. Flames consume them in like a second. And Fernanda, she starts speaking in this weird language, Nahuatl. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but she's like chanting this weird language, crawling to them, and I guess they just vote because wouldn't you? Next day, Fernanda wakes up and she used to be a shy and meek girl, but now she's wearing dark makeup. She's acting really out of character. She's making herself bleed with rose thorns, and she approaches strangers and tries to suck out their sins through their mouths. And the local priest kind of looks at that and was like, man, that girl's possessed by a demon of all things. And her friend Lourdes, her friend Lourdes think, no, honey, it's not a demon, something much worse and much more powerful. So from then on, we have this priest's obsession, trying to find out what demon it is so he can exorcise, I'm assuming. And then we have Lourdes and her friends who get the help of a local professor and try to figure out exactly what is going on with Fernanda. And both sides will do whatever they can to get to the truth first. Next, we have a book that for sure is a novella, is Nothing But Blackened Teeth by Cassandra Caw, and this comes out in October as well. And that sounds really amazing. Like, I can't wait for this. I think it's going to be extremely creepy and scary. This book is set in Japan, where we have this abandoned Heian era mansion, believed to be haunted by the ghost of a bride whose bones rest underneath the house, and also by her companions, sacrificed girls whose remains are part of the house foundations and walls. Nothing much, right? Nothing much. But all of that in this atmosphere makes it the ultimate wedding destination to thrill seekers. I mean, I wouldn't go there, but some people eat that shit up. What thrill seeker wouldn't love to get married in such an atmospheric setting? Well, we follow a group of friends that does just that. But soon their thrilling, fun and games turn into a nightmare when they find themselves face to face with a ghost bride that has nothing but blackened teeth and a hungry heart. Oh. The 12th book on my list is The Last House on Needless Street by Catriona Ward. And this is a book that, quite honestly, is best going completely blind. And because anything said out of turn can just completely ruin the book for you. It's a book that you need to experience by yourself. So I wrote just a little blurb, and I will read it because I don't want to give anything away. But just in case you need more convincing than me telling you, you need to read this book. And you need to go in blind. In The Last House, we meet Ted, his cat, and daughter, residents of the titular house next to the wild Washington woods. They each seem to be more than meets the eye and are bound by a dark secret. They try to keep to themselves, but their symbiotic stasis seems to be at risk when a new neighbor moves in. That's all I'm going to say. But take my word for it, this will make the list, and you should read it. Last but not least, we have White Smoke by Tiffany G. Jackson. I kept going back and forth because this book could quite easily be on the YA fiction category. And the tagline says, and I'll read this, it says, The Haunting Hill meets Get Out in this chilling YA, but it calls it a psychological thriller. I don't think it's a thriller because I heard Tiffany Jackson talking, and she mentioned this as her horror debut. So I'm going with what the author said for the book, and I'm putting on this list, but it might as well be the YA fiction, who knows. But this is another one of my most anticipated books. It comes out within the next month. I want to say it's September, but it might be October. I'll link all the books down below and you can check the date. But in it, we have Marigold, and she is haunted by the ghosts of her old life. Her mom gets a job with the Sterling Foundation, and the job is like perfect. It seems like the fresh start she needs, and takes them to this free of charge, amazing modern renovated house in a small beach town in California. I mean, can you give me a small, like a renovated amazing house in like California right now? I can do with a beach, right? But anyway, she's happy about it, even though moving there also means moving in with her bratty, annoying 10-year-old stepsister. Kids, right? As they move in, Mary is really happy with her life. The house is amazing, but it sticks out like a sore thumb because all the houses around her in the neighborhood are dilapidated. Okay. I can live with that, right? Does it give me a sense of unease, Mari thinks? Yes, it does. But let's move on, shall we? This is my fresh start. Come on, pick up, people. Pick up. It's my fresh start. Okay, but it seems like the town is not letting her be, because not only she has this unease from like the situation around her, weird paranormal things start happening around the house. Your run-of-the-mill lights turning on and off, doors closing by themselves, shadows going through the wall, smells that only she can smell, and they smell funky. Right? Noises, disembodied people talking. Okay, she's getting scared, but it's still my fresh start. I can do this, right? Well, can she though? Because it gets even worse. Her bratty stepsisters, Piper, starts talking about this friend that she made that really wants Mari gone. And then as she starts paying more attention to things around it, it's not just her house, it's not just her street, it's not just her neighborhood. The whole town seems to be hiding very dark secrets. Doesn't that sound good? Okay, so thank you for being here. Sorry about the background noise. Let me know if it's too distracting and I'll move in, but I had a lot of fun filming outside. It feels so good. It's summer. But if it's too distracting, I'll go back inside. Let me know down below. Have you read any of these books or any of these in your anticipated list? Which book do you think will make to the horror 15 nominees for the Goodreads Choice Awards this year? And as always, until next time, be the hummingbird.